Hey, before we get started, I wanted to take a second and tell you about some things that are going to be coming up for the Lux Media family at large. It has always been a part of the timeline where advertising comes into play. I can assure you of two things. One, I'm not going to be trying to sell you dumb shit. Any product that I mention or whatever the fuck the case is, I've tried it. I can attest to it being good. Number two, it's an advertisement. I know I'll do my best to try to be humorous in some way or try to make it entertaining however I can. If you want to keep the ad-free experience that you've been enjoying, I would highly suggest going to Patreon. In addition to having like the raw cuts, you can also get the same version that would be public, but it's ad-free. Just the way that you've been listening to it before, it'll be the same thing. Just want to make sure that you're aware. This is what's coming. Thank you for listening. Let's get to it.
We don't do that here.
But the cream rises to the top.
You guys ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. The ultimate effing casuals. We're back, baby. 2025 started off a little bit with a limp, but the shit's about to pick up. This first half of what we're doing here is going to be pretty light. There's only one card coming up. It's a big one, though, UFC 311. But there's a whole lot of news that is worth talking about. First one I wanted to bring up was as the number of athletes over at Bellator that are asking to be released is growing by the day. And further to that, PFL, their tournament prize, they cut it in half. So it's not the tournament winner's not $1 million prize anymore. That's I don't know, this is a pretty big indictment, I think. Like the $1 million prize was like their gimmick. That was the big incentive, other than not just having a title. I'm not sure. I think life support is it time to pull the plug?
It looks like kind of the experiment of PFL being a UFC competitor is over, which it never really was. But that $1 million guarantee was definitely floated out there to try and pull as many athletes as they could away from the UFC. And they got Francis out of that, but they didn't get really anyone else. And now the PFL is just becoming what something like Bellator was or what Ryzen was, where, it's an organization that puts on fights, but it's clearly a step below across the board from what the UFC is.
Yeah, I agree with Nathan here. Like, I think this is a terrible sign if you're like a super big PFL fan or follower. Like, I told you guys this, I don't see the PFL surviving another 3 years, in my opinion. And Leo was right in saying
That's
that
generous.
3 years. Yeah, 3 years might even be generous. This is a terrible sign. Like, dropping it to $500,000 as a tournament prize does not have the same ring as $1 million.
Definitely
does
not.
So I don't know. We'll see what happens, but I think it'll be interesting to see, fighters start leaving or what people start saying within the organization. But I don't know. We'll see. Francis still has one fight left. We'll see what they can do.
They cut the tournament prize in half to pay for the next Francis fight. That's about it.
Yeah.
That's all they got left. It could remain as they could keep doing like regional tournaments, like Middle East. It seems like they have a pretty good stronghold on the talent there. There are like Saudi and Emirati fighters that are in UFC, but it seems like they're just tacked on as the price of competing in those arenas. They could keep doing the regional thing. It would put them on the same level that they wouldn't go down a level or anything, because this is already where they're at. It's like a Bellator, Ryzen, One. These are all like the lower parts of the pyramid, and you might say that UFC is the apex. I was saving that one. Regardless of the pun, like that's what it is. UFC is still at the top of the ladder. Athletes continue to aspire to get there, whether it's through Legacy, Alliance, or Invicta, One FC. Doesn't matter. They're trying to reach UFC.
is so far ahead, bro. UFC is so far ahead of everyone else.
Yeah, it is. Speaking actually of being so far ahead, with a new deal, 2025, the ESPN deal is going to be finishing. UFC is looking for over $1 billion for their next one. That's over double of what they currently command from ESPN. That is a lot of money. I feel like they're pricing themselves out of re-signing with ESPN, whatever their motive might be. I don't know how many broadcasters can pick up a tab like that. I'm not sure. The only one that comes to mind is Prime or Netflix. That's pretty much it.
I said this last time, but I feel like, I don't know, I've seen Dana talk a lot about Netflix getting into sports streaming. I don't know, I have a feeling he's going to go, or UFC is going to go with Netflix, but we'll see.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I understand why they're asking for it. They need about half of that to get John Jones in the ring with Tom Aspinall.
Yeah.
The little presser, Dana White says that the $30 million demand from John Jones was not true to fight Tom Aspinall, but he does seem really confident that he's going to be able to deliver that fight this year. I don't know. I'm putting this in the same categories like Mayweather Pacquiao. I'll believe it when I see it. Canelo Triple G. I'll believe it when I see it. Did they happen? Yes. Took a little while, but not a lot of time left to be fucking around on John Jones's part. Do you think it happens this year?
I was just about to say, like, right now, gun to your head, does John Jones versus Tom Aspinall happen?
No.
You, Nathan?
I'm gonna be the hopeful optimist and say yes. If the UFC is even serious about, their TV rights, they need an event that no matter how much they pay their fighters has some kind of huge number pop.
Oh, the carrot.
And yeah, and this fight would do an insane pop. It would easily do over 1 million buys, I think. It would be probably in their top 5 cards of all time. So I think the incentive is there, and I think, it would be the biggest duck, and I think one of the biggest ducks in combat sports history if Jones, after all of this pressure, just said, no, I'm retiring. Bye. And you look at, like, even the UFC social media, which I know social media is, you take it with a grain of salt when it comes to public sentiment, but, like, they're talking about ESPN MMA will put out, like, oh, John Jones's title reign, it's like it matches the longest title reigns of any UFC heavyweight champion or whatever. And everyone in the comments is like, he's fought twice in 2 years. Like, calm down. This is not that big of an accomplishment here.
You're trying to make it out to be something it's not. In case he does retire, you can already say it's comparable to all of these other title reigns, which it just isn't.
And the rest of Jones's light heavyweight career feels like such a long time ago. Like, it feels like a different lifetime. So much has happened in the sport. This would be Jones's legacy if he just walked away from it. I don't know. It's hard to separate that at this point if he doesn't fight Aspinall.
I do wonder, like, if Jones does retire and, like, without fighting Aspinall, how Dana White will try to spin it, because, like, this entire time while Jones has been champion at heavyweight, he's been, he's the greatest fighter ever. He's been adamant that, he's going to fight Aspinall. He's going to fight Aspinall. But if he decides to retire, is Dana White going to change his tune? Like, because you know how, like, when Francis left, how he completely, like, switched up on Francis? Like, saying, like, Francis was ducking Jones, but, prior to that, he was saying that Jones should stay down at light heavyweight. If now it happens to John Jones, are we going to get some... I don't know. Is Dana White going to switch up on John? He was never that good.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was never that good. Just to hype up Aspinall. I don't know.
Dana White is the type to do that, though.
Yeah, he's done it before. Bro, the switch up on Francis was wild. But I don't know. I want to say this fight happens, but I don't know. We're getting a lot of conflicting information. I know Joe Rogan isn't the best, I guess, maybe not like a super journalist, but he tends to know, like, inside things, so... he's saying that John Jones is considering retirement right now, but we'll see.
That was actually why Dana White put out this statement that Jones is not demanding 30 mil for the fight. Is it possible? There's a slight possibility that he's asking for more. And, like, no, it's not 30 million. Just let's omit the rest of it, what the actual number is. But that's who he's refuting in particular was Joe Rogan. So,
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe there's something developing behind the scenes that we don't know about. Overall, this does have, I think, like if you gave Jones more pay-per-view points, that would more than satisfy whatever his asks are. This to me I feel like this will have like crossover appeal with other combat sports. This will have like mainstream sports fan appeal. Dana White can push the envelope on anyone, but he's not doing it now, and that's kind of strange to me.
They should pay Jones.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously, like if he says like $1 billion, obviously not, but within reason, they should pay him what he wants, because this fight needs to be made.
It's probably going to be the end of his career too, win or lose. If he wins, fuck yeah, you're right off on the parade float. If you lose, like, man, you don't want to do that one again, depending on how bad the beating is, especially at his age.
Yeah, I mean, the way Aspinall fights go, I don't know, man. He could lay him out. But we'll see. Hopefully, we'll see.
Oof, good segue. Hopefully, Diego Lopez versus Yair Rodriguez on March 29th. This is the Mexico City card.
Yeah, that's like what's being rumored at the moment. Like, none of this is I think the venue might be confirmed, but from what I'm hearing, like, the fight is only rumored at this point. Like, they're in talks, but nothing is official yet.
This is a weird one to make. You think it would be Movsar getting, and this would be a fight for a number one contender, but from what I've seen, it doesn't seem like it's a number one contender fight either. Like, it does make sense. It's a Mexico City card. You want two Hispanics on the tilt, but as far as the division standings are concerned, this doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It kind of seems like easy work for him.
The thing is, I feel like the UFC sort of has, or like they don't really like Mosfar that much. So I don't know. I do want to see that at one point, Lopez versus Mosfar, but I don't know. I think they want Lopez to gain like a big. I mean, he already has it, but they want him to gain like more traction, because if he wins this, he's fighting for the title next, 100%. Like, I don't even know who else could be close.
His next fight would have to be an eliminator. What are you going to put Diego with? Max, who says he's moving up, or Volk? Those are pretty much the only options otherwise.
I mean, plus Yair just fought for the title not that long ago. I mean, worst case scenario would be if Yair won here. That would be absolute worst case scenario for UFC, because then neither of these guys can fight for the title next, and you don't know who is the number one contender at that point.
And Yair's getting up there in age, isn't he? How old is he now?
Yeah,
32? I mean,
he's been in the UFC for a time. He's been in wars too.
So he's not someone, I mean, he's probably young enough to stick around the contender spot, but it's way more likely that he falls off or gets eaten up by some other rising star. I mean, he's not on any path to a title shot as far as I'm concerned.
Yair?
Yeah,
no,
I mean, I think it'll
not.
be. Yeah, no, his time. He's been in too many wars. I feel like he got the interim belt, and I think that was about his peak, because I just don't know if he has like the life in him to continue. He's been in too many wars. I think it'll be a fun fight for however long it lasts, though.
Maybe he should take the same retreat that Brandon Moreno did, get himself rested up properly.
Yeah.
Have a little bit of a resurgence there. My thinking, if they did do this in Mexico City, is to get Diego in with a Mexican, like a well-known Mexican fighter, so that he can get the shine, because Diego's been living in Mexico for quite some time. So he already has some appeal there. But you do want to give him he already hangs with the Mexicans. He can fight with the Mexicans, and he's going to get the Brazil love because he's Brazilian. I think that's what they're trying to do. Just my guess, but
dude, like, they could be trying to build. I hope this happens, but they could be trying to build, like, this Mexican fan base with Lopez, and the whole thing. Let's say Ilya beats Volk, and then they try to make Lopez versus Ilya in Spain. I feel like that could be massive. That could be massive.
Yeah, even though the Brazilians are maybe a little bit more miffed with the Portuguese, I feel like they're like Portuguese, Spanish, cut from the same cloth. Brazil,
yeah, I mean, he has like the whole Mexican fan base too, which there's storylines built into that. I don't know.
All of the former colonies, fucking seeking revenge in the octagon.
Well, if boxing has taught us anything, is that country and racial tensions are still the best way to sell a fight.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Like Cuba and Puerto
Yes.
Rico or whatever,
Yeah.
Yeah. Puerto Rico, Mexico, yeah.
That would be great
Yeah.
if they made it. If they're gonna do something else with Diego, like Mosfar, also makes a lot of sense. So I don't know. Maybe they could do Arnold Allen on UFC London.
Oh man, Lopez versus Allen would be fire.
Well, speaking of UFC London,
Aha.
Jack Della Bonalena versus Leon Edwards is
Oh,
signed.
Officially official. That's an
Whoa.
awesome fight. Fucking get him, JDM. I might
Yeah,
make that a
This
t-shirt.
is man, yeah. I feel like JDM's gonna be a pretty big favorite in this fight. Seeing how Leon's last fight went.
This
I
is
feel
a
like-
rough comeback.
Yeah, this is. They're putting
That's
him
asking
in
a
there.
lot of Leon here. Sorry, buddy. Maybe you could go to sit on the bench of the Bellator bench with your brother.
I mean, I imagine they're probably gonna put like the UK favorites on this, so like Patty Pimblett as well. I guess what's the sister name? Mon McCann.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're probably gonna try to stack this card with like all the the usual UK fighters.
Arnold Allen's a good
Hopefully
one to put
Allen.
on.
Yeah, hopefully Allen.
And the March 29th date's not. It's just a week before or a week after London, so wouldn't be terrible to put Diego with Allen here. But it seems like that would. I don't know. It seems like that would only be to Allen's benefit because if he wins, then he moves up. But if Diego beats him handily, then how far up can that really take him?
Yeah, I mean, he would still be in the position he is right now, which is
Third?
you should be fighting. Well, he should be fighting for the title next,
Yeah.
but probably won't because
Volk
Volk has a
yeah.
right to challenge.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
rematch.
He would absolutely be fighting for the title if Volk was retired by now.
Yeah, with Max moving up, there's really nobody else.
I mean, I think Diego had like 4 wins, and he sort of steamrolled Brian Ortega too.
Is there anything else that's confirmed for the London card? Just besides what you would, the usual suspects, I guess? Because this is the first fight that I've seen confirmed for it. I remember Leon Edwards was at a boxing event, and he said that he was coming back for UFC London. Didn't have any opponent info at the time, though.
This is March 22nd, yes?
Yes.
On the UFC website, at least, it has Jan Blachowicz, Carlos Oberg for that card, which I think is a fight we knew was going to happen, but we didn't know where it was going to be placed.
Yeah, Jan's comeback.
Yeah. There's a few fights confirmed, but nothing big.
Cyril Gahn, Tom Aspinall. Or would that be a number event?
That would be a numbered event because
Has to
if
be.
that fight were to happen, it would be for the undisputed heavyweight title, and that would mean Jones is out of the picture. So there's no way they would put it on just a UFC London.
They can't do 2 defenses of the interim belt. That can't fly.
The disputed heavyweight title?
Yeah.
Jeez, it's ridiculous. I expect we're going to get an answer on that soon, even if it's, I don't know, Q3 of 2025. I think we're going to get a firm answer within Q1 of when that's going to happen.
Do you think they wait? Because they like to put Jones on like the New York cards. Do you think they wait all the way until November?
I could see. I could see them dragging the negotiations out into like April or May, and by that point, you could be like, "Yeah, we'll just make it for November or whatever." I
It's like
could definitely see them
Aspinall-
doing that.
Aspinall would be out for like
Yeah, that's
over
icing him
year
a
at
little
that
bit.
point, right? Yeah.
I think that's what they would be trying to do.
Damn. I mean, the thing is, UFC wins either way in that fight. If Jones wins, then you have like undeniably the pound for pound GOAT, and if Aspinall wins, you have a new star that's going to stay in the sport for years to come. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't think the UFC really cares who wins.
I would expect that they would want Tom to win because he's going to be taking a little bit of the notoriety and carrying that forward for quite some time. Whereas Jones, he wins and then retires, and then Tom has to kind of, rebuild his image a little bit.
They could do rematch
Oof.
if Tom wins as well. Do you think Jones would want a rematch if Tom wins?
Yes, I do. I think it would go worse for him.
Yeah, I guess depending on how the first fight goes, though, if like it goes to a decision and Tom wins it, I don't know. You would think Tom would just get better, right? Because Jones is so far past 35 now. Like he's coming up on number 38, so it's like
every day gets worse for him.
Mm-hmm. Almost like the Fury and Usyk fight. Even if Jones still is really, really good, which we don't have great evidence of that, but even if he is, right?
He's already peaked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he's fighting Father Time, not just the guy across the ring.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's his experience that's gonna have to carry him in the fight. Like
The
reflexes
skills aren't going to
not
get better.
happen.
Yeah, the reflexes get worse. You're not at this level of his career. You're not going to improve on skills, really.
Yeah,
Yep, it's just
It's
your
gonna be like-
experience. That's it.
yeah.
and that's
Do
it.
I know more tricks than Tom? Basically, yeah.
Oh, well, that one rounded back to the topic that everybody's thinking about. But JDM, Leon Edwards, it's a good fight. Good. I think it's a good move for JDM. This is last chance saloon for Leon Edwards. If he loses, is he out of the title picture completely, or could he build back and get another shot?
I mean, if he wins over JDM, that is a massive win. I sort of don't know where you go from there, but I wouldn't say he's out if he beats JDM.
If JDM beats Leon, though,
well, he's up
Oh,
to
JDM.
Yeah, if he's up to next in line for a title shot,
Yeah,
because it'll be Bilal versus Shavkat, and then Jack Della would have to fight the winner of that.
or like, cause I don't know when Bilal Shavkat's gonna happen. Do you think they could like squeeze in JDM versus Ian Gary or something like that?
that would be so fun. I would like to see that.
I think it's like welterweight sort of getting a little bit clogged because like Buckley's right there too.
There also is Usman like constantly floating out his next fight, and so it's like
yeah.
Shit
okay,
or get
welterweight's
off the
a-
pot,
oh.
dude. You're either fighting or you're not.
He's talking about wait until I until I get healthy and I'll be back. His knees are like jello though. I mean, I don't know if he can really hang with these guys. I know he did all right versus Kamza and everything, but
Kamsat tried to wrestle him.
yeah, it's a strong suit, but it's gonna happen when someone tries to strike with him.
Yeah, exactly. Like JDM or Ian Gary, they're both strikers. Striker dominant, I guess I should say.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm excited for welterweight. We have a lot of good fighters, a lot of good fights to make. Hopefully they actually make a few of them. JDM and Leon is a good start though.
Yeah. Moving on to middleweight, Adesanya versus Imavov on the 1st. This is going to be in Dubai, if I recall correctly. So fun. There's a really great boxing card on the same day, Benavidez versus Morel. So you don't have to decide between the two. You can watch both. I think this
God,
was
that's gonna be a great day for combat
it
sports.
is
fans.
going
Yeah,
to be an
that's gonna be
amazing
great.
day. A lot of great fights on the David card, and this one was one that like we had settled on when Dricus beat Adesanya, and the showing at UFC Paris for Imavov. That was to me that was the logical fight to make. Is Adesanya needs a win to stay in contention, and Imavov needs to climb out of the bottom of the top 5 and get into contention. So I don't know. Is Adesanya shot? Question mark. Is that the question going into it?
No, I wouldn't go that far because he was doing so well against Dricus on the feet. Not dominating, but we know how good Dricus is, and the fact that he was, neck and neck with him for 4 rounds until the submission, I wouldn't consider him washed, but he's still in a precarious situation in the rankings, right? So it's like he can't afford a loss here. And if he were to lose, that would really be like, I don't want to
That's
say
it,
career. I wouldn't want to say career ending, but it's like now you start getting it's very precarious for him.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like at that point, if he lost, well, and like I do agree with you, Nathan. I think he could absolutely win this fight. I sort of want to even favor him a little bit in this fight. But if he loses, like, how do you match? I feel like he's sort of suffering from success. Like, how do you match him up?
Robert Whittaker.
Because like he's such a big star.
Or worse, you put him against Kyle Barallo, and then
Or just
he's
feed him.
like,
Oh, man.
sacrifice
Yeah.
him to the gods
feed
of
him.
war.
oh, that's
Oh, man.
if he loses again, he doesn't have any kind of right to pick his shot after that, and so he'd have to fight these guys that are charging up the ranks.
Yeah, you kind of become the
Damn.
gatekeeper. Ugh.
It's gonna be sort
would
of weird though,
fun.
because like I've known or for like a lot of the time that I've been a UFC fan, it might even be like the entirety of the time that I've been a UFC fan. Like Adesanya has always been there, so it's sort of weird, to start thinking about what the UFC would be like without him, like there, man. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I hope he can win this fight. I think he has a pretty good chance to beat Imavov.
Yes, he does. Imavov's not that big of a deal, so he's not as big of a deal as he likes to think he is. I should say.
Well, give me my shot. Give
Yeah.
me my shot.
Beating Adesanya would be a good way to say, like, I deserve it now. versus like Chimaev versus Whitaker is the other option, which I think Chimaev gets it first.
Yeah, I mean, Imavov would be like second in line behind Khamzat.
Yeah.
I'd say at that point.
Adesanya versus Whitaker. Loser leaves the top 5.
Do you think, like, if Adesanya can win this fight, like, I mean, they surely would give him another title shot if he gets, like, one more win, right?
Or would they put him in with Chimaev as a...
Oh, God.
That would be a wreck. Like, Chimaev would take him like a wrecking ball.
Yeah. He might do Izzy worse than he did Whitaker. I mean, because I don't know, because, like, the winner of Dricus Strickland 2 is probably going to have to fight Khamzat. If Adesanya beats Imavov, maybe you could do Adesanya versus the loser of Strickland and Dricus. Either way, it's a big fight. It's a rematch.
Yeah, rematch with either.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good route. I'll text Dana, let him know we already got the blueprint for him. All right, last bit of news before we get to 311. Johnny Walker is out. I cannot help but think this is a good thing for him and like his health. As much as I like to use his name, it's more of like the butt of a joke than it is. I don't know. I feel good about this, and he's maybe gonna be able to not be taken out on a stretcher or something.
Yeah, his CTE is gonna be real bad, man. Like he's had some wild knockouts, done on him. I don't know. I know you wanted to see him, Leo, just for the comedic effect.
Yeah, for the memes, but
yeah, for the
still
memes.
a person. Somebody's. I don't know if he's a father or whatever, but yeah, he still has family and shit. Like I don't. No, man, this is good for you, Johnny. Stay out of it.
Yeah.
You're done, pal. Get into training or something, or I don't know. But this should be a good sign for you.
Yeah.
All right. There were no recaps over the New Year break, so into the previews. Just one coming up on the 18th, UFC 311 at the Intuit Dome. It's technically in Inglewood, but fucking that's just a suburb of LA. So, bottom up, early prelims start at 3 p.m. on the West Coast on UFC Fight Pass. Oh boy, there are, looks like about 5. Some of these might have changed since I've put this on here, so let me know if I'm missing something. Tagir Ulambekov, 11th rated flyweight versus Clayton Carpenter. Ricky Tercios versus Bernardo is this Sopaj? I'm going to say Sopaj.
Yeah.
Bantamweights. Rinya Nakamura versus Muin Gafurov, also bantamweight. 9th rated Carol Rosa versus Eileen Perez, 13th at bantamweight. It's twerk o'clock somewhere. Grant Dawson, 15th versus Diego Ferreira, lightweights. There's your early prelims. I've seen Ricky Tercios a handful of times. Eileen Perez, I mean,
Yeah.
obvious reasons, but
Tagir as well as one like the Nurmagomedov boys. Like
he's an
he
Eagle
trains in
Scout.
their camp. Yeah, he trains with them.
Cool. So that should be a good one then.
Yeah.
Into the prelims. These start at 5 p.m. on the West Coast. It says ESPN News. I expect it's going to be on ESPN Plus as well. Zachary Reese versus Cedricus Dumas, middleweight. That's just terrible. That's a terrible way to pronounce your name. Gelton Almeida, number 6, versus Sergey Spivak, 7th at heavy. And Peyton Talbot versus Raoni Barcelos, bantamweights.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
From the time we recorded to now when I'm editing, we've had one addition to the top of the prelim section. It's 13th rated light heavyweight Bogdan Guskov versus Billy Elikana. So enjoy that. If you're going to miss all the other fights, do not miss that one. All right.
Prelims are not that bad, yeah.
Yeah, they're not.
Almeida, if heavyweight wasn't like so shit, Almeida versus Spivak would be like higher up because that fight actually means something, but
I think that
it's
actually
just
will be
so
a pretty good fight.
Oh yeah, bro, the scrambles are gonna be pretty crazy.
Yeah. I mean, and it also will be nice that it's a heavyweight fight where it's not just two bowling balls, throwing overhands at each other. There's actually going to be some skill involved there.
Yeah.
All right. Starting off the paid portion, this one starts at 7 p.m. on the West Coast. Kevin Holland versus Rainier de Ritter at middleweight. Yuri Pross.
Unfortunate matchup. I think Holland.
Yeah.
Self-avowed Holland fan here. He might get smoked.
You see the odds? Odds are pretty much pick 'em, but did he not just like injure a rib? Like
Holland in his last fight,
Yeah.
during a takedown or something, he like cracked a rib or broke a rib or something.
Did that not like just happen?
That was his last fight.
But it was like less than like a month and a half, 2 months ago, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which I mean, in a fight like that where you take no head damage and it really just is an injured rib, like it makes sense for a guy who fights as much as Holland does.
I mean, take care of those ribs, man. I feel like the Raiders gonna target that. I mean, it's not that long ago. Like it's still at least gonna be tender. The body
Middleweight's
kick or
not
something
his
like that?
ideal weight either.
Yeah, man, this is gonna be a nice paycheck, I imagine. But
Like I had said, when de Ritter had his last fight, he looked pretty crappy. Might have been just his UFC, debut jitters or something. First time under the big lights, but I'm thinking they're giving Kevin Holland a little message, like, just give him some good work, but don't go too hard on him. Help him build his confidence up. You will be rewarded handsomely. Yuri Proska, second at light heavy versus third rated Jamal Hill. Not sure what to make of this. Yuri's been in some bad ones.
Does the Yapper get his mouth shut again, or?
dude, I want to see Hill lose again. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Although, like, if he wins, we also get like Pereira versus Hill 2 set up, sort of. So I don't know.
It's tough because Yuri's talking about, I need to reinvent myself, and it's like,
It's too late.
you can't really reinvent yourself in your mid-30s, man. And I feel like he's just gonna fight like he normally does, and which is just to eat punches until he lands his punch. And Jamal can crack. Like he's got some big knockouts, so it's gonna be a tense one.
If in the first round I see Yuri come out with like a proper guard, I'm gonna be like a little bit like, whoa, this is gonna be crazy. But I don't know, man. He has the advantage that like Hill has pretty bad footwork, like just in general. But I mean, it was sort of a similar situation like we were with Alex. Hill has power, and if you let him land on you, even if you eat some, you're not gonna eat all. So he's got to be very, very careful. Should be a fun fight though.
Benil Dariush versus Renato Moicano, 9th and 10th at lightweight. Was the last time we saw Dariush when he got wrecked by Sarukian?
Yeah,
That's
got
the last
kneed
time I
and
remember him.
put to death. Yeah,
He
this should be a good fight.
He looked like, I don't know what it was, apathetic. I don't know what it was, but he didn't look like he really wanted to be there.
Well, I remember recently him saying that if he loses this fight, it might be time to retire. So I'm not really sure what's going on in his mind, if he's just doing this for the money or if he's like setting himself like a hard limit. If I can't beat number 10, then I shouldn't fight at all.
Yeah, if you can't beat a fucking historian, an academic like Moicano, then what are you doing?
Yeah, I do gotta say that these guys both have like amazing like grappling. So this is gonna be a fun fight if you're a ground game. It's called Fanatic. It should be really fun.
So if you're not, this would be a good time to go refresh your drinks or something.
Yeah, if you're not a fanatic of the ground game, then go get some food or whatever. Come back for Yuri versus Jamal. That is your fight. For all the people that do not like wrestling or grappling, that is your fight.
All right, co-main event: Merab Dvalishvili, the bantamweight champion, versus second-rated contender Umar Nurmagomedov, Eagle Scout. This is another wrestle one, isn't it? It should be wrestling intensive.
It could go one of two ways. It could be like the first Colby versus Usman fight, where on paper it looks like they both are going to want to grapple, but their grappling kind of offsets each other, so it becomes just like a stand-up striking match. I kind of am leaning towards that because Umar's pretty good on the feet, and Merab definitely, that's where he does his best work, I think, is when he's just overwhelming people with volume. So it's going to be interesting to see, because this is also a little bit different style of wrestling too. It's more of a, I don't know how you'd say it. Merab, more of a traditional European wrestling style, not American, but somewhere in the middle, versus kind of this Dagestani approach. So we're going to see if that clash, benefits Umar or not.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it in the past as well with like whenever Merab fought Jan, how even if he's not landing takedowns, like his percentage or his like takedown percentage could be super low. But even if he's not landing, like he likes to chain wrestle just to like consistently pressure you against the cage, tire you out. I don't know how it's gonna go with Umar. I feel like Umar is a very different story. Like Nathan just said, he's got that Dagestani type wrestling, but I want to say that Merab will continue to throw takedowns in this fight, even if Umar defends him, just because that's his like super high intensive, like heavily reliant on cardio type of style.
Yeah, that's his style of pressure.
Yeah,
Just to keep shooting on you.
What do you guys think wins? Now that we're getting into like the
I don't know
championship.
enough about Umar to really say. I've only seen him fight like twice, and I think one of those I went out of my way to go find a replay. So I don't know.
I am worried that Umar is going to win. Overall, I think he's just a higher level of technique, but it's hard to pick because he's not been tested by anyone that's going to put this kind of pressure on him. So
Yeah, wrestling
I
wise,
think
yeah.
I'm going to bank on his skills, but if he ends up kind of drowning under that pressure, that I don't know if I would be surprised by that. We just haven't seen evidence that he can withstand that yet.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna pick Umar as well, just because I think his striking is better than Merab's, since he was able to hang in there with Sandhagen. But yeah, I mean, the wrestling of Merab, it can drown anybody. I feel like even if he's not landing takedowns, just a consistent pressure. I mean, it'll be very interesting to see if Umar can like completely eliminate it. But I'm gonna favor Umar, I think, just a little bit in this fight.
How good is Merab striking? I've never really seen him need to do it that much or rely on it that much.
It's fine, but it's more it strikes that he's landing with the threat of a takedown.
I see.
And it's a lot of volume. It's not like really precise counterpunching or like combinations.
Yeah, I see. Okay.
So it's like a swarming kind of style. So if Umar can just disrespect the takedown threat because he knows his guard is good enough and it gets into a more precise striking match, I think Merab could be in trouble there.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of leaning towards. Is if the ground game is a bit of a wash, both of them really talented in their own ways, and it comes down to striking, then if Merab's not very good at it, I did see Umar hang with Sandhagen, and that was impressive. So I don't think Merab keeps it.
Yeah, his wrestling for him to win, it has to be effective.
Yeah.
Against Umar. I don't really see any other way for him to win.
Poo-poo. Sorry, Merab. In the main event, Islam Makhachev, the lightweight champion, versus Arman Tsarukyan, the first rated contender. The training fucking montages have been intense. I know Islam's a heavy favorite, but I gotta go with Arman just to be the fucking contrarian, just to go against the grain a little bit.
I like Arman, bro. I didn't find this out until I think it was the Dariush fight, but apparently he's like the son of a billionaire or something like that. Like I want to say it's like the concrete industry that his dad's in. But he's really just doing this for the love of the game, because like he doesn't need to do this for money at all. But he also happens to be an excellent martial artist. Arman has legit skills. The first time that they fought, I don't remember exactly what year it was, but this is still when like Islam was an early contender, climbing up through the ranks. Arman came in short notice to fight Islam. On short notice, Arman took him to a decision. And it was, Islam won. Like it wasn't like controversial, but it was a difficult fight, I would say. And now Arman has gotten like a lot better since then. Obviously, Islam has too. But man, I'm really excited for this rematch. Really, really excited for this rematch. Both have good striking, obviously good grappling, good wrestling. One element that I think it will be interesting to see in this fight is that Arman, along with his striking, he has really good power. Really good power. Like if he can catch Islam clean, at the very least, Islam is going to be rocked. I don't know about, maybe put out cold or not, but at the very least, Islam will be rocked. So I don't know. This is a fight. If you don't like grappling wrestling, maybe it's not for you, but I still think it's going to be an amazing fight regardless.
Yeah, and I think even more than the last fight, if either of those two fights the fighters are going to forego the wrestling for the striking, this would be the one, because Islam is like really he's almost getting to the point where his striking is equal with his wrestling, which if you know how good of a wrestler he is. Yeah. I think between these two, the Umar and Merab fight, that's the one that could devolve into just chain wrestling back and forth, but this one has the higher chance of being, a big striking match. And I mean, I'm not going to doubt Makhachev in this moment. I think he's got too much momentum, and he does seem invincible right now. Like, I'm going to need someone to prove me wrong to believe he can be beat at this point, because it's got to take someone really special at this point who's going to win. I don't know if Saryukian's that. But, I mean, if there was someone who was, like, tailor-built to beat him, like, this is probably what you'd expect. Like, a pretty big body type, strong ground game, so he's not just going to get bullied, and has a lot of power. Saryukian, on paper, is the guy that could give him a run for his money.
I agree. Yeah. This is a great fight. What are your thoughts, Leo?
Tough to say. Because I've only seen... Have I seen Saryukian fight like twice? Saw him fight Dariush, saw him fight Oliveira, and who did I see Islam fight? Saw him fight Dustin and the Volk. All right. How much... is there a big height difference between these two?
We'll check.
Yeah.
Both are... Yeah, okay, so 3 inch. Islam is 3 inches taller.
Okay. So, I'm looking... My thinking here is even with them having like similar skill sets, both being similarly talented, it comes to me, it comes to a point of physical advantages, like things that are the more measurable things, I guess. And like the 3-inch height advantage, fucking Saryukian has a 2.5 reach advantage. Wow.
How does that work?
Yeah.
He's got some orangutan arms.
Yeah, no shit. That is wild. Not sure how you do that, but okay, that completely changes my thinking. Because I was thinking like Islam was able to sort of work on Volk. I was thinking he could do something similar, try to manhandle a bit, even though Volk was able to keep up. But I feel like Saryukian is coming on with a pretty big wave of highlight successes versus Volk. Kind of like the KO knockout was like nonsense. But whatever. I don't know. I'm really just winging it here. Saryukian's on a wave of momentum. That's all I got.
Yeah, I mean, it could absolutely happen, man. Like Nathan said, if anyone can beat him, I feel like it's going to be Saryukian. But I don't know. I think I'm going to favor Islam in this fight. His striking is just so good as well. I think if Arman wins, it's probably going to be by knockout, just because that power difference does favor Arman, I want to say. But I don't know. I still trust Islam's like well-roundedness.
And I mean, it is the only time he did lose was by like one punch knockout.
Yeah.
He got clipped.
Which, can happen to anyone. But this might be one of those fighters you just have to kind of knock him out to win, because over the course of 5 rounds, he's going to be too good.
You got to find that like 1 second where his guard is down.
Find the tick, that you can capitalize on.
Well, hang on. I've got actually a different thought. We saw Volk, and I know Volk is kind of one of a kind, but he comes up a weight class and he's significantly shorter. I think it was like it was like 5'10" versus 5'6", or was it even less than that? Isn't Volk super short, ain't he?
Yeah, he's a little meatball.
He's 5'6". 5'6". Yeah. But he was able to go there, and he was actually able to blunt Islam's wrestling attack. And Saryukian is significantly bigger, right? Even though it's a 1-inch height difference, like the guy is a full filled out 155 pounds
unit.
I mean, just knowing that, I feel really confident in seeing this become a mostly stand-up fight. And if it's on the feet, right, there's a chance, right? So, and a lot of Islam's success on the feet, right, he's able to get openings because people are so terrified of the takedown. But if you like just stuck him in a boxing ring, how good would his striking actually be in that sense? Which is not to say that Saryukian is some master striker, but if we're talking about, hey, is one big overhand going to find its mark? If you have someone with basic boxing and head movement, there's going to be opportunities there against someone else of a similar skill set. So I I think I'm still gonna stay with Islam. I want to be proven wrong that he can be beaten at this point. But I mean, it's exciting. There's a real chance here.
See, this is how I felt like during the Oliveira fight, because like Oliveira also has like decent striking. Obviously, his grappling is super elite. But then Islam just sort of steamrolled him in the fight, like both in striking and in the grappling. I mean, he ended up submitting Oliveira. If this fight also goes that way, I don't know, man. Islam, if he just like steamrolls Arman the same way he did Oliveira, Islam is just like so far ahead of the rest of the division. He's gonna have to move up in weight.
There's nothing
to
else.
Get any sort of competition.
There's no real challenges left.
Well, except for maybe Topuria, but yeah, I mean, there really isn't anyone else.
Yeah, there's still like fights to make, obviously, at lightweight, and I do like that. I think I saw an interview with him the other day where he was saying that he would be open to fighting Topuria after he's like cleaned out the rest of the lightweight division. So I do like that he's wanting to finish up in his division before moving on to like these like other like stellar fights. But yeah, he's just, I don't know, man. If Islam wins this one, he's making a super strong argument for best lightweight of all time.
What did Khabib fight at?
He was
also
lightweight as well.
Also lightweight.
Also lightweight.
Yeah, I want to say at this point, Islam might already have more defenses than Khabib, because Khabib only had like 2, right?
No, he had more, but well,
Looking at it, he has 4.
more than 2. Okay, 4 title defenses.
Yeah, versus Charles, Volk times 2, and Dustin. Well, it was Volk times 3, wasn't it?
No,
Wait, Khabib.
no, Islam fought Volk twice.
Okay.
Okay, well, no, Khabib. Okay, yeah, Khabib had 3 title defenses. He won the title with Iaquinta, obviously, like fought McGregor, then Poirier, then Gaethje, and then retired. Which that run is elite. But yeah, I think Islam, he won the title versus Oliveira, right?
Yes.
And then he fought Volkanovski twice, and then Poirier. Okay, so he only has 3 defenses at the moment as well. So if he beats Islam, he overtakes at least the defense record of Khabib.
What happened to this Adriano Martins guy?
Which guy?
The guy that beat Islam. It was back in 2015. Very quick, like
Yeah.
minute 45 in the first round.
It was on a 4-fight losing streak immediately after beating Makhachev
Wow.
and then retired.
Wow.
I mean, that
Okay.
sort of lets you know, yeah.
All
He
right.
got cut after 2 losses in the UFC. Man, yeah, that was all the way back in 2015.
That was a long time ago,
10 years
yes. But
10 years
years
ago,
ago.
jeez.
maybe bring him back. hey, Adriano, start getting ready. Because you're next, buddy.
Yeah.
So this is like a little bit of news that just popped up. It's semi-related just because it involves Khabib, but apparently Khabib was kicked off of a plane yesterday.
Oh, yeah, I saw this.
So does that mean anything? Maybe not, but maybe the bad luck is just starting for Team Islam.
Apparently, people are, like, I'm not sure if this is true, but people are saying that there was, like a language barrier that led to some miscommunication regarding where he was sitting. And I guess they just got frustrated. I mean, I don't know.
Maybe pay for first class? I don't know. You got the money, dude. So
Khabib is flying coach, bro.
why are you doing that? I guess like, no decadence for the Eagle boys, but that's it's a little silly. Like, you can at least go with business class. You don't have to go the whole hog there.
Bro, this is wild.
That's
One
really
of the most popular
strange.
UFC fighters ever.
Fighting with some
booted off a
old
plane.
man for a seat.
Well, no, I think it was with a flight attendant. I don't think it was
okay.
speaking with any of the other passengers.
That makes it a little better, I guess.
Oh man, I'm really excited for next week, though, man.
Yeah, this weekend's gonna be good. Anything more for UFC 311? All right. Well, thanks for listening to this episode of The Ultimate Effing Casual, a Lux Media production. If you'd like to give your thoughts, or you just need to let us know how terrible you think our takes are, you can be a lame and text our anonymous line, 833-589-7637. If you want to stand on business, call and leave a voice message, and we'll see if you're interesting enough to make the final cut of the show. 833-LUX-PODS. Can't go wrong. If you prefer to hit us up on social media, the account name is LVX Media Net, all one word. That's YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, all the rest of that bullshit. If you can't find us, chances are we're not on it. A lot of stuff gets cut out from final releases for all kinds of reasons. So if you want the raw audio, exactly as it's recorded, look us up on Patreon. LVX Media Net over there, just like everywhere else. Even if you don't sign up on Patreon, you can still help us out a lot if you hit us with a rating on whatever app you're listening on. If you're not feeling a $5, you have our number, or you can hit the DMs. Let us know how we can earn that full $5. The metal intros by Anders Janhunen, the jazzy intros by the artist Afternoon, outro by Middle of Nowhere Beats, and for more shows like the one you just listened to, go to lvxmedia.net. Heading into UFC 311. Parting words.
I'm hyped. We're back. We're so back.
Yeah, it picks up from here.
During the EVAs, and we're back to having fights. Starting off 2025 really strong.
The perpetual drought may be continuing in California, but it's not continuing for the MMA sport. But unlike LA, we do hope that the UFC catches fire this year. So,
yeah.
Sorry, was that too soon?
No, it's very much unlike LA. I don't want them to catch fire either, but UFC, please do.
I guess also a news addendum. We are currently scheduled for UFC 311 in LA. That might get moved
shit.
Because
that's right.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if those fires are still burning or not.
Yes, they are. Inglewood is a bit of a ways away, but the air quality is really poor, even further away. It might get moved, so we'll see. But
they have a backup venue. I imagine they do, right?
I would expect.
Yeah, and it's called the Apex.
Oh, bruh.
Oh,
that would suck.
That would be great.
That would be catastrophic.
That would be so funny.
Oh man, you just give me like a nightmare scenario, Nathan.
But all 10 of the available seats, $150K a pop.
Money well spent, if you ask me.
All right. So as we head out, fucking check out the YouTube channel, hit up the socials, and we'll see you on the other side of UFC 311. Peace.